Ox and Hare presents the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society. Special episode, Behind the Swashbuckling. Welcome, dear listener, to the seaside city of... Wait a second. This isn't Massalia. And I'm not your narrator. No, dear listener, we are behind the scenes with Zinnia, Saffron, Goldie, every bad guy from the entire season, our fearless writer-director, and our narrator will be along shortly, leaving me, your producer, as the host. Let's get to know our swashbucklers, shall we? That was my introduction. Great introduction, right?
Very good.
Beautiful. Beautifully done.
So why don't we go ahead and actually introduce ourselves? Zinnia, who are you?
I am not French, surprisingly, although I do speak French. My name is Amy Shaw. It's incredible. I know it's very difficult to believe. I didn't prepare anything. I'm sorry. I enjoy doing podcasts. I'm very, very grateful to be cast in Kyle's projects. I met Kyle at Phoenix Comic-Con. We worked together for a while, and now we do all kinds of fun things. We do, what is it? We do all the fun things for stuff. I've messed up our tagline completely.
Doing things for stuff, right?
Correct, yeah. Exactly. Yep. So I work with Ox and Hare, I work with Legible Scrawl, and anybody who likes to hire me or have me do voiceover work for them.
Duly noted.
And we're happy to have you.
Indeed.
I should say we're lucky to have her.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so Saffron, who are you?
I am Anastasia Plum, and I've actually known Shaw for... Gosh, I don't even know, Shaw. Quite a few years.
I think almost 20
met you before even Comic-Con through mutual friends. And then let's see, what about me? I have a boring job. I shouldn't say that too loud. As an operational risk consultant for Wells Fargo. I actually kind of like it, but I'm sure many people would find it boring. I've done theater since I was a child. And I'm passionate about traveling and discovering cultures that are new to me. I always try my hardest to keep an open mind and not to judge others. And it's a little about me.
Awesome. Thank you.
My wife.
Right.
We had a lot of those jokes. Sorry, guys.
All right, Goldie, you're up.
Hello. I am Kara Gallo. Man, mine thing's not going to be nearly as good as Anastasia's just was. I kind of came a little bit late to this podcast, but I'm very grateful. Kyle reached out to me and was like, hey, you want to do this thing? And I was like, that sounds awesome. Thank you. I majored in theater. Love it. Big passion of mine. This is the first podcast I've been a part of, so that's awesome. And other stuff. Cats are cool. All right.
Awesome. Nope, that was an amazing introduction. Love it.
Thanks.
All right, so every bad guy ever.
Yes. Amazing.
All right. Well, I am Justin Kent. I have never met any of you people.
And this is the first time we've even talked to you.
Yes, right. This is the first time we've actually spoken. I do know Kyle. I've known Kyle since we were much younger and a lot more stupid. Mm-hmm. And I currently live in Savannah, Georgia, and am the co-founder of an improv group here in Savannah called Odd Lot. And try to occupy myself with them as much as possible. We are working on our own radio show coming up here soon here in Savannah, and doing short films and all sorts of stuff. I'm very busy with them.
Awesome.
I also work at the American Prohibition Museum here in Savannah.
Fun.
That's cool.
Ritzy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm fancy. That's what you need to take away from this.
That's what I took away from this.
Good.
I did not know there was such a thing. How cool.
We're brand new. It's very exciting.
It's gonna be big. Hey, your podcast recording is this week, isn't it?
Yes, this Thursday we are doing our first. We were actually going to do it last Thursday, but hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing our first recording. We are recording it live, just like an old style radio show, and then it's going to be on the local radio station and available to download after that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let us know and we will put the link up.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Of course. Are you? Who is? I'm looking at the listing for it. Are you playing Frank Ice Ellis?
I am. I am
Oh.
the detective of the because it's a good old fashioned noir Savannah-based story, and I am the detective.
If you need a narrator, I know a guy.
I'll throw it in the hat. I promise.
Which leads us to our next introduction. Narrator, introduce yourself.
Hello and welcome to the beautiful city of Massalia. It's me, Chris. This is my normal voice, and I'm the narrator for this wonderful swashbuckling podcast that I've been so fortunate to be a part of. I do improv locally. I'm a part of the local Arizona Renaissance Festival as one of the street characters that walk around and does stupid stuff. And I do shows and stuff when I get a chance for improv and all that. Yeah, and I have a YouTube channel for gaming and stuff. That's where most of my time goes.
Varakti!
Yeah, Varakti. Voraktee. It's very difficult to spell. I make people really have to look to find me. You know, they have to
I've
want
heard
it.
that's the best way to market yourself, right? You don't make it easy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure we had a commercial on it, and like a bunch of people asked me afterwards, like, "Okay, what was that? How did you spell that again?" I'm like, "Okay, just listen to the episode 6 more times, and you'll get it right."
Yeah, no kidding. Kyle had the genius idea. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna do a little jingle for your name." I'm like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I'll improv one."
Yo, that's a good call. That's a good call. That's the only way I know how to spell it at all.
Voraktee.
I stole that from Paul F. Tompkins. He has on Spontaneation, his piano player is named Eben Schletter, and so it's spelled just as odd as it sounds. So he came up with a jingle so that people could spell the guy's name and be able to find him. And so like he's the piano player, so the guy plays the piano along as he sings his name. I was like,
Jeez.
We could do that too.
All right, so we keep hearing this Kyle guy's name keep coming up. So does that Kyle guy want to introduce himself?
I can't keep my mouth shut. I can't help it. When I'm around my favorite people in the world, it's very difficult for me to not talk to them. Yes, my name is Kyle Olson. I'm the founder of, I'm the co-founder of Ox and Hare and the creator of Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society, part of the Monday Matinee podcast, which you're listening to right now. Ooh. I know. So a lot of it came from like Shaw had mentioned that a lot of us are working or had worked for Phoenix Comic-Con, and we were moderators. And while I was there, I noticed an abundance of talent that was not being used, and I thought, I can harness that. So when it came time to put something together, I sort of pulled all these people and said, "Hey, would you like to do creative work for free?" And so far, everyone has said yes.
Wait, free? What?
Oh yeah, did I not mention that part?
I've been waiting for a
getting
check.
a stipend.
Oh.
And so then when I came up with this, it was from a bunch of different sources. I tend to come up with ideas like alchemy, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I had that idea for having one person in Mel Blanc. So this is how I pitched it to Jay. I said, I want you to be like our Mel Blanc, where every time we need a voice, you're the guy. Like, so how would you like to play every villain in every episode? and do you remember what you said?
I don't remember exactly, but I was basically telling you just made my dream come true. Something along those lines.
Yeah, he said...
you tell me I'm going to be Mel Blanc, that's really all you have to say.
What you said was, I've been waiting my whole life for someone to ask me that.
It's true.
So Jay's one of my older friends. So I pulled him up from that to put him into this mix, and I have to say I'm very pleased with the result. And so far has everyone who has heard the podcast and spoken to me has said the same.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone who said that to him.
And don't sell yourself short, Kyle. The story behind this idea for Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society is actually kind of interesting. Do you remember exactly how it went down?
Well, I remember I was trying to think. I have a bunch of stories that you'll be seeing on the Monday Matinee, and so I was putting things together, and I just started sort of playing word association. It started just putting words together to see how they would go, but there was a couple things that were floating around at the time. Like Shaw speaks French, so I knew she had this amazing French accent. So I was like, I need to have her be a French character in something and as a lead. So I sort of had that floating out there, and then I was thinking about Princess Bride. And one of my favorite scenes is the sword fighting scene, but not just because not only they're fantastic sword fighting, but there's a huge amount of character and story that's happening at the same time. Like you're learning so much about these characters as they're fighting each other. And I'm like, I wonder if I could harness that. Like if you could have that, like have the same kind of conversational stuff that you can have in a podcast, and then put the clashing of swords behind it to sort of build tension. Would that actually work? And then when I was putting the words together, I went swashbuckling, and I'm like, oh, okay, so Shaw, so it'd be ladies. And then I'm like, Swashbuckling Ladies doesn't sound quite right. It sounds like a clothing line. I need something else. So I said, like, well, they're going to be talking a lot, so wouldn't it be the debate society? I'm like, but that's not originally what it was. That's right. It was actually originally the Swashbuckling Lesbians Debate Society. because I thought I needed someone for her to be sparring with. I needed a partner in it, and I thought, well, Anastasia's fantastic, and if I can put Shaw and Anastasia together, I know there's magic already right there, and I have them as a married couple. But then as I thought about it, I thought, well, I'm a straight white dude. If I'm going to be doing something called it sounds a little exploitative. If I'm saying that right. So I didn't think that'd be right, and I didn't want it also to sound lecherous.
Like some kind of weird porn that's, very period piece. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Viva la France.
So I'm like...
One of my favorite horror movies from the 80s, Swashbuckling.
No, I'm going to have to look for that because that sounds fabulous.
I knew that this was not that project, Justin, right?
Yeah,
when you joined on.
So I wanted to have that. So when I sort of put all those things together, it's sort of like I made this thing, and then everything else sort of grew from there. Like why were they fighting? Where was it set? And then the whole world sort of spiraled backwards from there. I wanted it to have some place where carrying a sword wouldn't be weird, so it would be modern, and I wanted to have some sort of overarching. Something bad has recently happened, and this is in the aftermath of that. And I looked at. I didn't want it in Paris because I had just listened to the Night Vale's other podcast, the Orbiting Circus of the Air, I think it was, and that was set in Paris. So I was like, okay, I didn't want to be right on their heels. So I looked at what's the second largest city in France, and it was Marseille, but I was like, okay, that's not quite right. So I looked up, and the Greek version of that was Massalia. So I was like, there it is. So I had this oppressive regime has moved in and decided to call it by its Greek name rather than the French name because they're all pro this sort of American-esque cultural movement has swept through the town and do that. And so rather than having to fight the revolution, it's sort of like, okay, the revolution passed them by, and now they were trying. These two women were trying to live a quiet life, and
we were not very happy when
so
these
now
terrible
they're
people
doing
came.
their best to sort of raise up with the resistance.
So there's a part of the story that I think is engaging well, because you said there was word association, and so I remember very clearly. And first, I should introduce myself before I just keep talking. Hi, everyone.
Oh yes, but no writer can do anything without a fantastic producer at his side, someone to pull everyone together, to keep them organized, and also to make it so that all the voices and the sound effects all work together. I would not be anywhere without having the greatest producer I've ever met,
Why, thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Very kind. And honestly, far better than I could have written that myself, which is why he's our writer. So I remember this was probably somewhere around March this year. I was sitting in a work meeting, totally paying attention. And we were emailing back and forth about some of the projects that we wanted to do. And you'd had a couple different ideas, and we were talking about a couple of them. And all of a sudden, I get this email. And the email says nothing but, I have no idea what this is, but I want to know more. And it is the logo for the Swashbuckling Lesbians Debate Society, which we did eventually change to the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society. I believe my response was, yes, please. Right? Like, I saw that. And the logo, I mean, other than the name change, the logo was 100% the same. And I just remember looking at that and saying, yeah, I don't know either, but let's find out, right? Like, how do we make this work?
Yeah.
When I got...
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. When I got invited to be part of it, I remember thinking, I have never wanted to be a lesbian so badly. This is going to be amazing.
Oddly enough, that's what I thought too.
And knowing I got
That was my
I got to
time.
be partnered with Stacia, who's quite the attractive lady. I was like, well, hello, wife, how are you?
That is the one downside of this format, is that in this cast, these are the most attractive people I know, and yet all you get to hear is their voices.
I think you need to get out, Kyle.
The best part of this, though, is no one knows that you're lying.
Kyle needs to get out more. I don't know. Stacia's gorgeous, but yeah.
And she married you.
Uh-huh. Well, I know that I have some qualities to woo the ladies. Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to do, is have it be a happy couple. Like, basically that these two were in a relationship, married, happy, and when there's no, in the soap opera-ness of it, I didn't really want, that's not a story I'm interested in telling, is like, will they, won't they, the breakup, they get back together, the down, like they are a happy couple, they are together, they will stay together. Like, that is the unit around which the whole rest of the story will come. People will come and go and stuff too, but they are a happy married couple. I mean, partially inspired by the Doyles from the Thrilling Adventure Hours, Beyond Belief. Like, the two of them are a married couple, man and woman, but like everything is about the two of them just loving each other and wanting to spend time together and being so annoyed that everyone around them keeps having to save the world. I like that idea of a core couple. And so that's why I wanted to
and
put
they
the
did
two
so
of them
well,
together, and it's worked.
You also,
Yeah.
Amy and Anastasia, you recorded together as well. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the recording together, how that went, some of your in-jokes perhaps, how you found your characters, how this all worked?
Go ahead, Stacia.
Amy really wants to say something.
That's the way the relationship goes. Okay.
That's right. That's Saffron Zinnia right there.
Okay, what can I say? It was very helpful working with Stacia and being able to record together usually with Kyle reading in Justin's parts. I was so disappointed that we couldn't read with Justin, because I think that would have just added another layer of fabulousness to it. But I will say the episode that stood out in my mind for being the funniest to record in terms of in-jokes was the one where my husband actually played one of the characters, and it was just, I don't know that it was funny to anybody else, but we seemed to have more, I don't know, technical glitches or funny things happening during the recording of that episode, of course, all of which I've forgotten now and can't tell a story to save my life. But yeah, I will say it was a pleasure working with everyone, and not just reading cold really made a huge difference. Having her energy to play off of, and vice versa. And there were plenty of times when I think we had to stop and say, "Oh, I didn't like that. Can we do it again?" And give each other that time and that space to say, yeah, it's okay. Find the beat. It's all right. We'll do it again, and find that rhythm, or find the points we really want to hit as we go through.
Right. And I think, well, first, I think it's funny that both Shaw and I have taken fencing in the past too. Yeah. So I took it in Germany in school, and then I also did it at the Renaissance Festival as well, Chris. So that's kind of funny.
Hey.
I used to do it there. In California,
That's awesome.
I did not know that. You're so much cooler now. Oh my God.
though.
Yeah, I have like a board here, and you've gone up a couple notches. I don't show to anyone.
I'm glad
of
someone's
course.
keeping score.
Yeah, someone's got it.
But I think it's funny because I've never really done voiceover work before, and I could tell like the first 2 episodes I was trying to find a voice and trying to do weird things, and I would listen to it after the fact. Like I really wish that if we just sat and listened to it for an hour and then we went back and had another chance to record it, I would have changed so many things. Because it wasn't until I think the 3rd or 4th episode that I finally found the rhythm or the way to say things, or I don't know. But the first 2, I'd listen to them and just be like, oh my goodness, what are you doing?
Welcome, my friend, to voice acting.
No. Well,
And
if anyone knows me, I like facial expressions are
Oh yeah.
part of everything I do, and it's not coming through over the voiceover for some reason. I don't know why.
If it makes you feel any better, I personally believe that the television show Parks and Rec is probably one of the best pieces of television in like all of history.
Yeah,
it's a great comedy, except for the first season and like half the second season are
Right.
really pretty rough. I always have to tell people like it's gonna be really great for like the next 5 seasons. Just gotta get through the first one.
Yeah.
So it happens even with like the most talented people. You
True.
just kind of gotta find the groove, right?
Yeah.
And kind of on the funny thing with that you're talking about with doing these, the faces, you're a very facial actor. So am I. Even at like the Renaissance Festival, and for most of you people here know, but maybe not the people in the audience, obviously. I play the town's plague doctor, and I am in full regalia. I have this big old bird mask on and stuff, right? And I am still very facial, so like I get into it with my face, and like as I'm talking, and so I'm like, "Do you need some leeches?" and stuff, and so I'm just, it's crazy looking, but nobody gets to see and stuff. So even if you're like in a sound booth, sometimes if you got to get into it, just like with your face or your body, I would always recommend that personally.
Yep. Agreed. And then that's the other difficult thing is spoiler alert, if anybody hasn't listened to the end,
Go listen and come back.
pause now. So when Zinnia gets taken away, and I know like I need to be in complete anguish, but my kids are sleeping in the next room. So I'm trying not to scream too loudly, but I know I need to put some effort into this. And they're going to come in and be like,
we redid that line like 4 times, and you're like, I cannot scream.
And I'm like, stop! I know, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I'm really sad she's gone.
Can I just say I'm sad and we'll call it good? We got it. We got it, though.
You.
So I have a question. I have a question for Kara.
Hello.
Hi. So I had written Goldie, knowing that I was going to be bringing her in as the third. Liberté, Fraternité, Égalité. Like you had to have the third. But I didn't know who it was going to be exactly. So I hadn't spoken to Kara in over a year, I think, or more. But then when I had the stuff written, I was like, boy, she'd be really good for it. And I contacted her, and so she came in fairly late into the process, and just I think I had you scramble, like I think you had to hey, it's Monday, can you have this stuff recorded by Friday? And like you had to have everything turned in. So what did you think when you first heard the episode all cut together?
It was really good.
Keep reading that script, Kara. Yeah.
You're really good at acting.
It was good.
There's an acting test right there.
Wait, I'm gonna write you a quick script. Hold on.
Go ahead and email that to me, please. Actually, there's a chat, so you can just put it in there.
That's true.
No, it was actually kind of nice to be able to listen to it before I had to. I'm so nervous. I don't know why. I didn't know how. I don't mean this offensively. I didn't know how well it would work being separate and recording by myself and then having it like edited together. But I was very impressed with the way it turned out.
That's Ryan Fitzpatrick right there.
I know. I was like, oh man.
It's okay. I had some amazing performances to work with.
In a perfect world, I would love to have everybody together, even in the same room to record. But it's just we're not in that world. Not only do we all have lives and schedules and jobs and things, but some of us are in different time zones.
True.
Right. Even right now, we are geographically diverse. Dispersed. Yeah. There we go.
Dispersed.
I mean, Justin, you're what? You're in Georgia.
I am.
I'm in California right now.
Oh.
We have people in Phoenix. Kara, are you in Phoenix?
Gilbert. But yeah.
Gilbert. Okay.
Phoenix adjacent.
So yeah, we're all over the place right now. So yeah, a little bit tough to do that. Yeah.
It is really. It's really nice though because it works so well with everybody being able to just record their part and then like send it in and then you magic it all together like a wizard and it turns out so good.
Magic.
Yeah, like it's fun to work together when we can, and I've been on some of the calls and been able to kind of hear Zinni and Saffron play off each other, but it also works to take these audio parts and to fit them together, and everyone does such a fantastic job because I feel like everyone who read for us really understood what the characters were and did just such an amazing job reading into the script above and beyond, not just reading the lines, but really reading the character. And I like Kara, I loved your Goldie, and this this picture I have of this kind of unassuming. I'm a person who works in a mansion, and then all of a sudden turns into this amazing heroine. Was just this really fun character. So it was always a lot of fun for me to see all that, and plus, absolutely, and being able to hear some of Shaw and Saffron's back and forth, like the episode you were talking about, Shaw, with your husband in it. Because a couple of times I got to be there when you recorded these, and a couple times I would get these large sets of like 40 minutes of content because you did things a few times, and get to kind of hear this back and forth, and it was just this funny little where I could hear and I could see and I could, almost vicariously participate in the in-jokes and then be like, well, I'm cutting out that 30 minutes.
One of the things, I'll give another more props to Ryan for this, but one of the things, because, first of all, I want to thank all of the other guest voices who showed up and just maybe did 4 or 5 lines for us. Kim Butts comes to mind, who died for me again. She at the last episode came in for 3 lines and died. We had a bunch of people just to do the small little parts and everything. But one of the fun things was the people who clearly had never listened to an episode before, which is fine. I mean, like, we'd only, at the time we were recording, only maybe we had 1 or 2 up, is that no one knew how to pronounce liberté. They kept saying liberty. So this is more behind the scenes.
Those guys.
I wasn't singling you out, Jay.
I had to ask Kyle how to pronounce like various words. I was like, how do you?
It was a constant problem. But one of the fun things, if you go back and listen now, is that there in the very first episode, I think it's when Herr Heg says liberty, and then the joke is it's pronounced liberté. Well, we pulled that audio and we reused it over and over again because people kept screwing it up.
Seriously?
So you can every time, because I don't even know if Shaw, if you even noticed, but yeah, like you only said that line once, but we used it probably 3 times, maybe 4 over the course of the episode, because we'd get the recordings back and we're like, do you want to have them redo it for 1 word? And it's like, no, let's just pull the audio. It's pronounced liberté.
And so part of that was my fault. I don't know how many people know how much of this was done at the 11th hour. So I'm sitting here on like a Sunday and we're ready to launch the next Monday. And I'm like, well, that line's pronounced wrong. Now what do we do? And so I was sitting down and that's what happened. And Kyle's like, well, can we just reuse that line? And I'm like, done. Episode
that's
done.
The famous,
and the running gag was born.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's the one from Mel Brooks' History of the World. There's a Count de Monet, and everybody calls him Count de Money, and he keeps yelling out "De Monet, De Monet."
Or
That's the running gag in there, so I love it.
From Blazing Saddles. It's Harvey Korman. Oh shoot, I had it.
Yeah, it's Harvey Korman in this too. That's the dope. Like,
yeah, that's what is it?
Hedy Lamar.
That's it. Hedy Lamar. It's Headley. Yeah.
So classic. So you're in very good company if you were looping over somebody repronouncing French words.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
And I think there was also that one time where I stood in to record for someone who wasn't able to be there, and I couldn't pronounce any of the French words ever. And I would just butcher the heck out of them, and I just kind of rolled through, and I could hear Shaw rolling her eyes at me.
It was more of a cringe, actually. It was more of like a, okay.
And then,
well, if nothing else, this is all making me feel a whole lot better. So thank you to all of you.
I feel that. I think I butchered one or two myself. Yeah, the intros.
And then there were a couple times where a strategic word or sentence was just cut from the script and no one knows.
Yep. And things hit the cutting room floor.
Right. So, Chris, tell us about your parts. How did you come up with the iconic narrator?
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, like I mentioned, I do a lot of improv, and so like with Dr. Lockwood at Fair and stuff, I've gone through a lot of different voices to kind of like settle on different characters for him. And for improv, generally I try to practice improv once a week at a local club, and so I do a lot of kind of like I work on characters, right? Like if I have a character in my head that I feel like I can pull off. I just kind of like work on their mannerisms and how they are. And one of them was actually just this radio announcer kind of guy that just has this voice, kind of like, what is it? The Star Wars Clone Wars uses it, and also Avatar, Legend of Korra. They had these like, last time on Star Wars or Legend of Korra. They had these announcers, and I think they're so much fun, and I love that era of, voice work and stuff that I'm like, I could probably do that and do ridiculous things with it. And so when you and Kyle are like, hey, we want you to narrate with this kind of style, at first I think Kyle mentioned it like a months back before the project began, and I'm like, yes, a chance to use that voice. And then we started the project, and I kind of did like, because it's very European, where it's like, oh yes, welcome to the the city of Massalia, da, 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 da. And I tried to sound pompous British or whatever thing, and Ryan's like, no, we need you to be energetic. I'm like, oh, okay.
I remember
that guy. So yeah.
I think I politely sent you the intro music and said, this is what you're talking over.
Oh yeah. We're not talking over crumpet eating and tea drinking. No, the music. Actually, speaking of which, this is one of the probably the largest project that I've worked on, where I did voice work, alone in my room, sending it off. I tried to clean it up as much as I could before I sent it off too. I hope that helped. And like that, I wasn't working off anyone like Amy was with you guys, and so it was all me. But the music really helped set the tone for the intros at the very beginning, for sure. But aside from that, it was an interesting experience, because I know a lot of professional voice work, they go and they just do their lines and stuff. They don't ever interact with anyone else, and so it kind of gave me a cool glimpse in how that feels, I guess, and how you really have to kind of dig deep and work with what you got to kind of set the right mood and stuff. And thank you for calling it iconic. Jeez.
I loved it.
Garsh.
Hey, Amy has a voice that she wants to use in the future too.
I've
already written it.
You have? Yes.
I'm going to keep that under wraps. I will.
Yes, you're going to show up.
Okay.
We're not ready to talk about the next thing yet, but you're going to be in the next thing, and you're going to be doing that voice.
And it's so nice that Chris practices improv at clubs. I mean, I practice in the shower, so.
No, I don't.
Sorry, Sean, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I'm going to save that voice and try and pull a Justin where people won't know who it is, and be the quiet, barely listed person, almost uncredited. Although I think Justin did get credit on these, but I'm embarrassed to say that my screen handle on the Legible Scrawl website is Goddess of Accents, and then I hear Justin, and I'm like, well, sir, hats off to you. Yes, indeed.
Goddess, meet the god of accents.
Well,
he's not the goddess of accent. Okay.
That depends on the voice I'm
Clearly,
doing.
I'm comfortable wherever he wants to be. I have fully enjoyed inhabiting a lesbian character, and again, I had an excellent partner to play with, so I think that made all the difference.
Well, one of the things I thought was the most fun is that in the second episode, I was like, I told Jay, I'm like, all right, I need you to do a French accent. I need you to do the worst French accent you possibly can. I'm like, because we have someone who actually speaks French doing like her French accent. I don't want you anywhere near it. Like,
to which I said, no problem.
That was
the only French accent I have is cartoony French.
That's right.
And then, of course, that was Vicious
Such
Flaw.
a good job. I loved it. Honestly, Justin, I do hope that all of us get the chance to work together again, because it was such a good time hearing your voice. I would be driving in the car listening to the episodes. I knew what was going to happen. I'd been part of the recording of it, and I'd be laughing out loud in my car going, I'm dying. This is absolutely brilliant. So I could not, I'm going to have to go in a second. So before I do go, I have to say, I really could not have been prouder to be part of this. You are an incredibly talented bunch of people, and Kyle, you're amazing. Justin, your talents are beyond measure, and Kara and Stacia, I love that we are the fabulous three ladies of the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society, are liberté, égalité, et fraternité. You don't need to.
I will never say them that well. Thank God.
And,
Quite
all right, everyone. I'm going to
magnifique.
use that to peace out, but have a wonderful rest of the podcast, and I can't wait to hear the rest of this after I go. Love you guys too. Thank you. Au revoir.
we love you, Shaw.
Thank
you,
Love
Shaw.
you.
Opa!
Wow.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
And notice I'm not even trying. Goodbye.
Arrivederci.
So I wanted now, since we're talking about that, Jay, I basically put you through the ringer in this one. I gave you 6 unique, I think 7 actually unique voices that you had to do. How did you approach like making them different, and did you have a favorite of the ones that you got to do? Anyone you got to see come back?
Man, those are a lot of questions all at once.
It was. I've done this before.
I like doing silly things, so that's just what I did. Yeah, I would get a little information from you, and then I would be silly into a microphone. That is kind of how I do. I don't have a intense process for anything. I have me starting to do a silly voice. That's really what I do. But like Chris said, I do improv sometimes 2-3 times a week, and so I'm always doing silly voices. I do silly voices at work. I do silly voices all the time. So it's no exaggeration when I say I've always wanted to do this. No exaggeration whatsoever. When I was a child and realized that Mel Blanc was the voice of all those characters, I was like, that is what I would like to do with my life. So I have not done that with my life until this moment. So so it really was a dream come true to be able to do all those voices at once. Favorite voices of mine. Anytime I can do a ridiculous German accent, I'm happy. So that's always one of my favorites. But each one is fun, and I enjoy. I think the Red Rapscallion, who was just a hint of Zap Brannigan, he was fun, but he was one of the hardest ones. I had to sit and say a couple lines in voice first before I started recording. He was one of the hardest ones to keep, probably because he was the least ridiculous of all of them. The ridiculous I can snap into real easy, but give me any sort of subtlety, that's where I start lacking. So he was definitely one of the hardest, but it's all fun. And I can't even imagine what my neighbors think of me when I'm
Oh my gosh!
on my upstairs neighbor as I'm screaming in a ridiculous German or French accent. But I have the time of my life with it. I really do. I just love it. And that's the awkward silence afterwards.
But wait, there's more.
It's okay. We can edit those out.
Edit that out, right?
That's my job.
Thank you. Thank you. And
I
I feel as though I should officially apologize to you, Ryan, because I know how many times I was doing a voice and I was like, oh, no, that's not right. And then just started doing it over and over again. So kudos. You guys don't even know what kind of editing skills.
So the funny part about that is, particularly with yours, because I can tell, like, I can almost see your thought process sometimes because of the audio you sent me. And what I would do is, I had a tendency, again, because I was 11th houring this, where I would take the next stretch, listen to it, make sure it matched the script and everything was fine, and then just put it in. And there were a couple times where I'd listen to the next piece and I'd be like, wait a second, this is a redo of that last piece, right? Because you would, and I could hear you like, I could almost hear you like, nope, I don't like the way that's done, and then go redo it, and I'm like, now I have to figure out which one do I want to use, and like, and you would give me the same line like 3 times, which is great, but then I wouldn't like expect it all the time, so it was a lot of fun being like, oh, okay, I see what he's going for here, I do think that's a better way of doing it. Let me go back and redo this. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was never sure what, doing it so far removed from it, it's hard to get an idea of what exactly is wanted in a thing. So that was another reason I do it like 3 different ways. So I was like, here, you pick. And now it's out of my hands. It's your problem now.
That is the best way to do it.
And I got to do like a pre-impression of you because I wrote the thing, so I had an idea of it in my head. And then I'm recording it with the ladies before you're recording your part. So I'm trying to do it the way I want it, but also the way that I think you're going to do it. So like
Predicting
somewhere,
the actor.
yes, exactly. Somewhere there's a version of me doing all of your parts as well. So when we release the far inferior cut, then you get to hear me doing those and be like, oh yeah, you did. Because I know you actually have heard almost none of those. I think I sent you one.
Yes.
Because I was like, because you went a totally different direction than I had. I'm like, oh, this is what I did. Yeah, I gotta say, I really tend to put you guys through it, though. Like, as I'm writing stuff, I'm sort of like, oh man, they're gonna hate me. Like, suddenly Anastasia gets the script and she's like, I'm speaking Greek now? Like, yeah,
There were some
now you're speaking
tongue twisters, man. And the narrations where I'm just like, my roommate heard me like just cursing. Trying to get these done in the same upbeat just cadence that I do with the narrator. I don't remember on any at the top of my head, but there are I knew like I just could imagine you, Kyle, just kind of rubbing your hands together somewhere like.
Yeah, I was also occasionally just messaging Kyle and saying, okay, wait, this is pronounced how exactly? If you listen to the first one where I'm doing hair, Haig. See, Haig was actually one of the things I was asking how to pronounce. But Massalia was a big problem for me. So if you hear it in the first episode, I'm way overpronouncing Massalia. Fortunately, with that ridiculous German voice, it worked.
It could just be the character.
Yeah.
So what was everyone's favorite episode? Do we have favorite episodes?
My favorite episode by far was the one I got to do 2 voices in.
Season
So.
finale?
Yeah, that was the season finale. Yeah. Yeah. 6-pointed star. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one put us all through our paces.
That's where I enjoy it. I really enjoy being put through my paces. So
Noted.
It was yeah. But
What's
just
that? You wanna
this
play
bad,
all-
no
you wanna play
worse.
every member of the 6 and have them all arguing at the same time? Can do.
I would be down for that. I would totally be down for that. But yeah. So that one was my favorite episode, just from my own selfish standpoint of how much I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
I don't know if I have a personal favorite episode, but Justin, I think my favorite voice of yours was definitely your German voice.
Thanks. That is probably one of the most used of all of my voices. So
well honed.
I do know what I'm bummed about, though, is that I didn't get to read episode 6, and then Kyle rewrote the ending. And so I don't know what the alternate ending was.
I do.
Someone will tell me.
That's all I know.
So.
That's true, yeah. That's yeah. I don't want to get into that because that will spoil a potential future episode. But yes. I thought better of it, and so I came up with a better ending, a better cliffhanger. Because I knew it might be a while before we came back to Massalia, so I didn't want to leave people too much in the lurch.
So the behind the scenes of season 2 will tell you which episode was going to be the cliffhanger for the entire season 1.
Yes. Yeah, this I actually tended to compartmentalize a bit on this one for whatever reason. Usually I'm fine. Like I write a script here, everybody you have 5 lines. Here's the entire script. But I really kind of wanted to keep everybody kind of in the dark a little bit. So only the sort of the principals got the whole thing. Like Chris, I think you only got your narration, right?
Yep, I had no idea of the content of the stories. There was one time I got the wrong script and was like, wait, guard number 2? Am I going to play this guy now? What? But yeah, I just got the intro and the outro, so I set the scene and I take away the last scene, and that's all I know for everything.
Yeah.
But that does mean that I knew the alternate ending thing.
See?
That's true.
What about you, Kara? Did you have a favorite?
No, they are all good. They are all good episodes. That
is totally the Goldie answer. I love it.
I do. I really liked the last one because I felt like it was, for me, like the most like fun, because you have all these characters coming back and like everybody's going crazy and you're like running down this dock, and I could like feel my brain running down the dock when I was recording. Not literally, but figuratively. And so I thought that one was really fun, and like the one that I could get into the most because it was like action packed.
That's awesome, and it totally was action packed, and everyone did just such a fantastic job with that one. I feel like the final ones where all the pieces kind of came together. All the different recordings, all the different pieces, kind of we reached a nice technical balance, and then had a nice finale.
All that blood, sweat, and crying into ice cream, worth it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just looking through, trying to see, and I agree. I like all of them, but I mean, I like all of them for different reasons and stuff too. I mean, I feel like some work better as standalones, and some work better as mythology ones. But
you just can't pick a favorite child.
Yeah, really, because everyone has at least some part that was that I thought worked as well as I wanted, or far surpassed what I was hoping for. I honest to God had no idea if that the chase scene at the end of 6 was going to work or not. I mean, it's an audio drama. Like, how am I getting? How do we convey the fact that there's a gem being thrown from group to group and that we're following it, like that we're like now we're over here, so it's like assuming that there's those first 2 you just left are still having conversation, but we're following over here, so like essentially your ear is the camera and we're following the gem as it goes to now you're listening to these guys, now you're listening to these guys. Would it work? I don't know. But it was the power of the performances and Ryan's editing skills that actually made it really work.
I mean, it also says a lot about the writing, because when I was just reading it, I had no problem. I was like, this is like, I pictured everything in my brain, and I was just like, this, you've always been like an amazing writer. So it was just like, this is so good.
You were very kind.
And to follow like different battles going on at the same time, it's like Goldie's fighting, Red Rapscallion for a minute, and then is fighting Equity for a minute, and all this back and forth was very engaging. And for those of you who haven't read the script, which is probably everyone who's listening to this, and for those of you who felt bad that Kyle put you through your paces,
Oh, yeah, that's right. What you never see is when I say sound, gem hits ground. And Ryan has to go, what in the world is that? Or electricity arcs between them. And he has to go, how am I
Or whoosh.
Oh, yeah, whoosh.
The gem going from person to person was
That's right.
whoosh.
We needed to have a sound to go for that. Whoosh.
And I'm like, thank you, Kyle. At least some of them make sense, right? Like electricity arcing, all right. It's an electric based, bad guy. Fine, I can conceptualize that. Whoosh.
Bullwhip. Yeah, whoosh. Everybody knows whoosh. Whoosh.
It's in comics all the time.
That's right.
There was a point at which I'm like, all right, fine. I'm just going to go into the microphone and go, whoosh.
Yeah.
But I found some sounds and I made it work. But lest you be concerned that he only puts you through your paces. Christ. Page of sound effects.
And I gotta thank you guys for putting up with my scheduling. I'm awful sometimes, and I am sure that I drove you nuts once in a while there.
I'm sure we all drove each other nuts.
Yeah.
Aww. Macadamias.
And I wouldn't be driven nuts by any better people.
And on that
note, right? And on that note, we should probably call it quits, wrap it up. So thank you all for your amazing jobs, for participating, being amazing people. As Kyle said earlier, it's amazing to work with some of the just amazing people like you. I always enjoy hopping online, spending any amount of time with any of you because you're all amazing. And half of our recordings are us just chatting and being like, oh, we should actually probably get to an episode at some point because you're just all amazing, engaging people. And it has been such a pleasure to work with you all. And I've been so thankful of all the amazing stuff that you gave me. And I look forward to what we're going to do in the future because we are going to do more in the future. Season 2 is in the early planning stages, unless Kyle knows more than I do at this point.
Always.
That's fired.
We'll be. I think we will be returning to the seaside city of Massalia before the end of the year.
Which I look forward to.
We got a couple other stories we're going to get to before that, but then we'll be seeing our ladies again.
But before then, we have another brand new podcast for you on the Monday Matinee. Fret Tremolo is a private eye in the city of fair use. Here's a teaser of what's to come.
So many songs have been written about the city, that it was built on rock and roll, that you belong to it when the lights go down in it. But this city they're talking about, where is it? I promise you, it's a real place. Where Shakedown Street crosses Electric Avenue, where Layla and Peggy Sue have dinner. But in a city like this, there's all kinds of trouble, and the people need someone they can turn to. That's where I come in. My name's Fret Tremolo. I'm a private detective, helping the good and sometimes not so good people of the city of fair use with their problems. And whew, buddy, have they got problems. But this is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. I'm gonna use them and start trying to make it a place worth living in.
Check out Ox and Hare's Fret Tremolo on the Monday Matinee. Come along.